Hello and welcome to Scrapping the Stash with Gail, Chronicles of the Craft Room. And tonight I am going to do a very special layout every month with my membership to scrapbookingcoach.com. Every month she gives us a monthly challenge and she gives us a prompt. And then we put together a scrapbooking page and our name goes into the drawing for a free paper pack. This month, she's really asking us to do some heavy duty, deep dive into our souls of crafting and describe ourselves through a page about our mastery of being storytellers and memory keepers and crafting gurus. So that's what this layout's going to be about tonight. And you are going to be so proud of me because look what I'm using. I'm going to use chipboard letters. These are felt stickers and these are chipboard letters. And I even took stickers and matted them on white cardstock to make a banner. I'm using my alphas. I'm so excited to show you how I plan to use them. So anyway, what I'm going to do, just to explain very quickly my thoughts, I took this picture of myself. It was inspired by a picture that Anna Lyons, the scrapbooking coach, took of herself during COVID. And I wanted a just me relaxing, smiling, and just kind of thoughtful looking picture. And I knew I wanted black and white. You should see my desk. I have so many supplies laying out. I don't even know what is like what belongs to what collection and what designer it is. And quite frankly, I don't pay attention to that. If I like it, I buy it. Never thought to even think about that or look at that or learn that. I just know what I like and I buy what I like. So I will do my best to include what when I do know what a paper is from. Since I'm still using stash from when I first started scrapbooking, there's going to be a lot of stash that I use that I'm not going to know where it came from. The thing is, if you're trying to match exactly and want to know exactly where this piece of paper came from, then, you know, don't worry so much about that. Look at the piece of paper and think to yourself, oh, I have something similar to that. I have something that has those same colors. So anyway, let's get on with the layout. I will tell you though that this piece of paper is from a Vicky Booten designer paper pad. It's this one right here. And I think it's called Art for Everyone is what it's called. And I just got this from Joann's when they were going out, and it says 23. So we're going to start with my picture here. And I know that I want it offset. I don't want it right in the center. I do like my pictures offset. So I'm going to lay this here, but I'm going to be removing it and putting it back because I'm going to do tons of stenciling and layering and big, huge embellishment clusters. The words, I'm going to use words and in each of these sections that I feel describe my journey to my life mantra, which is growth or grow. I always want to be growing. I always want to be making myself better, making my life better. And so growth is my life mantra. So that's going to be here. But I want to also share the journey that I take all the time to get to that growth. And so I'm going to use the four sections here, four words, and four big embellishment clusters that are actually going to kind of interweave around my picture. So that's my idea. I'm just going to go ahead and do the process, and you'll see the layout when it's all over.
So I'm really wanting to give this layout some depth and lots of texture. So I'm going to start out by creating backgrounds for all four of these sections by using stencils. I'm using a black close to my heart ink with one of my blending brushes that they look like daubers. Um, so you can see I'm trying to get this background here up in the top left corner for the learning section. So I'm using a stencil that has all different numbers and um, letters and such. And I'm really liking the way that's turning out. Moving on to the stenciling over to the right side here at the top. This is my dream section, so I'm using that Stampin' Up! Concord Grape. I think that's a retired color. But I'm starting in the center and I'm wanting multiple colors here. So getting a pink passion out and kind of starting in the middle section of that circle, and then I'm blending into the purple a little bit. Then finally, I'm coming in with a turquoise color. These stamp pads are tremendously old. I bought them off of Facebook Marketplace from somebody, so I don't even know how old they are, but they're still working. So once I finish with this, I love the fact that it's on my picture. But I still want some bigger stars, and I definitely want this moon. So again, bringing in another stencil with the moon and different types of stars, and just really getting in there in that with a very heavy and hard hand so that that sticks out more prominently than the circle with the stars in the background. Yeah, I really like the look of that. So I'm going to bring a couple more down into this section in the bottom right and just have a little bit of a lighter hand in the middle section where it's going to start coming down the side of the page and just really enjoy that orange and the way that it pops. I keep bringing in my picture just to make sure that it's kind of looking the way I want it. This next stencil is from the scrapbookingcoach.com kit from, I believe it was the July kit. So I'm going to use this Whisper White from Stamping Up. Now this is a craft ink, so it's definitely stickier and it's thicker a little bit. So I end up dabbing this on with my blending brush. And I want it to be prominent in some places, but lighter in others. I don't necessarily want it to have a square look to it. I want it to have the ends that are kind of jagged and don't kind of fade off. So I'm starting with sections that I definitely want dark and darker, and then I work my way out to blending it a little bit better so that it's not so rectangular. I want it to be a little bit more authentic. And so this stencil, some of these stencils I've bought at garage sales and such, like the number and letter one, the ones that all of them except for the one that I told you where I got it. I don't know where they came from. I just got them at flea markets. Um, but this is the section that I'm going to have cut out florals. You can see some of them by my stamp pad. This is forest foliage that I'm using. And I just wanted some background weed looking things to kind of mesh up into the learn section to kind of blend those two. So I brought the letters down into the flowers and the flowers up into the letters. So now I want to mesh the grow and create section. So I'm bringing those same floral stencils down to the left bottom corner of my picture so that I can stencil these here and then make them lighter as they move to the right of the page into the create section. I really do enjoy stamping. I think it delivers a little bit of dimension It gives a nice background to stamping as well as cutouts and any embellishing you might use. So, stenciling is something that I've brought into my arsenal for scrapbook layouts just this year when I started back up scrapbooking. So I'm going back in because everything else has been touching the picture. I wanted a few of these letters also. And with the magic of editing, I'm starting into my stamping. So I've set some of the embellishments for this upper left corner section just so that I know where to put my stamps. Nothing is stuck down. I love a good cog. I don't know what it is about it. I love industrial looks anyway. But I love this cog stamp set that I found. Again, I found this at a flea market. Don't know the brand or where they originate from, but just absolutely love this. Now you see me using kind of struggling here with this stamp. I could not find my acrylic blocks, so I'm just making do, and it didn't turn out too bad. Now it's definitely stamping different than onto the pages or onto the layout than it is on my practice sheet down here. So I'm really not liking how this turns out. But I continue through it and just keep going with my process.
So the stamping was pretty much a disaster. I can't explain the problems. It was inking really well on my practice sheet. And in the middle of trying to do this, I couldn't find the rest of my stamp blocks. This is the only stamp block that I can find, my acrylic blocks. I don't know where they're at. Um, I literally took 15 minutes and looked all over my craft room. I don't know where my acrylic blocks are, the rest of them. I just have this one at my desk because it's lined and it fits most of my stamps, even if they're long. But this corner one, it didn't fit. And so you saw I had to make do, which I did, but they're just not stamping. They're not stamping well. And of course, when I did this one, the unevenness of the picture onto this didn't let me stamp this middle part, and I didn't have the foam underneath far enough. So when I went to do this, I wanted this as a second generation because I wanted it fading into this scene. So when I stamped that up, instead of stamping it off, I just stamped it in the middle of that. So I think I salvaged that. It really doesn't look horrible, but it's not what I wanted. So anyway, so just letting you know that the stamping is not the greatest, but and the other thing that I'm noticing is because I'm using black up here, it's getting really heavy. So I'm going to have to do something down here with embellishments, I think, to kind of offset that. This has butterflies with black. Um, so I think that that's going to be okay. But this one as well has flowers with some black in it, as well as black and white. So I think that'll be all right. This down here, I'm a little skeptical about. So we'll have to see how this create section comes about. But I really feel like it's feeling really heavy here. And I don't know. They're just not. It's not really blending. The seams aren't really blending like I'd like to. So yeah, so this has been kind of almost a disaster. I'm not really sure what I'm gonna do. Okay, so take two. If you haven't noticed, I started over. I did different stamping, different colors, different stencils. I feel like the color is a little more balanced, and I feel that The blending in between the sections is a little bit better. I just feel so much better about this. The reason I kept all the original one that I did in the video is so that you can see that even us YouTubers struggle just like everybody else. Don't be afraid to start over. Don't be afraid to scrap what you're doing if it's not working for you and start over. I reprinted my picture, no big deal. I had a second sheet of this circle paper from that paper pad. I could have easily found something else with a circle on it. It wouldn't have taken me no time whatsoever. And I just took a little bit more time and blended and looked at my paper and decided what I didn't like about it. And I'm going to bring in the old one here. You can see how I was too heavy handed with this black, with the stenciling. I used darker colors up here, and then I went to white here, and I used dark colors here, and I didn't blend like I should have made this lighter. Um, and I decided that I didn't want to go so much on my picture. So from this, we went from this to this. And I just feel like the stenciling and the stamping is um, much more balanced. And the only stamp that I did was this cog set up here. And I did confer with one of my scrapbooking people online, and they said that this sometimes this the paper is like a slick surface to it, and the stamps don't stamp as well unless you use stays on. And so I used Stays On for this cog tonight, and it's so much better. So, learning using Stays On is a trick that I've learned 20 plus years of scrapbooking, and I'm still learning things. So, with that in mind, I am going to get back to finishing this layout and adding all my four sections of tiles and embellishments. So, finally, I get to the fun part.
I love to embellish. It's one of my favorite steps of the layout process. So I thought I would start down here with the create section. Now these are chipboard letters that are sticky, but because they're heavy, I tend to glue them on anyway because I don't want them falling off for any reason. So there's no reason to not to glue them down. And then I wanted some cameras here in this section just because I am a memory keeper, and that's what this layout is about. So there's this rub on camera that I have. Again, don't know the brand, but I was very surprised how well it actually went down and went on. Very carefully. Yay, victorious. Love some rub ons. I love the colors poking through it. Yay. So here's this other camera back. So I'm going to put it underneath this paintbrush over here. I like the paintbrush going up the side, just kind of a nice way to blend the two sections again. Trying to get this paintbrush underneath the E. And yeah, so next I'm going to take this little airplane, and I've learned my lesson. I'm going to put the foam underneath, and I'm going to use Stays On ink. I love this little airplane. It's making a loop-de-loop that makes a heart. So I just thought that was a little fun way to intermingle the sections. And now I'm moving on to this kaleidoscope. It just has different colors on the ink pad, and I found these at a garage sale. I don't even know the brand, but they work really, really well. So we're going to move on to these flowers. Now, I'm going to preset you to for a long section here because I fiddle around with these flowers for a very long time. I don't use flowers in my layouts very often. It's just not my go-to. And so this section was the most difficult for me. Number one, because two of the florals that I'm using are the exact same flower. And so I didn't want them side by side. Um, I didn't want them looking alike. So I kept bringing in this smaller version. I definitely wanted the black and white flowers in there, and two of those are the same. So I didn't want them side by side, and so I keep moving them around. I'm adding these um, other florals in to complement, like this one I'm trying to uh, place here. There's a bigger one and a smaller one. And then I'm also trying to manipulate the flowers so that they touch my picture and not get in the way of the stenciling in the background. I mean, I fiddle and fiddle and fiddle here. Um, Plus, sometimes when I would place a flower, it looked like it was in midair, like there wasn't enough of the stenciling of the foliage in the background, so it looked like it was just hanging in the air and not connected to anything. Tried to bring in a smaller version of the two flowers at the bottom, which I really, really liked. But then I felt like I was building this section bigger than the create section, and I knew what the learn section above it was going to have in it. So then I felt like, okay, this is getting too big and it's not going to blend. I need to bring it down. I had to keep bringing in my title for this section, the grow, because it just wasn't fitting for me. And I just couldn't figure out what about it I didn't like. So I thought, okay, it needs more grounding. So I brought in another of that other big flower, and now I just feel like there's just too many flowers. So I just keep fiddling. As you can see, this is where I'm trying to figure out how to cover up that top colored flower doesn't have a stem. So I decided to bring in the larger of the two daylily looking flowers. I move one of the daisies up higher just to kind of get distance between the bottom two. Um, yeah, I mean, like I said, I fiddled with this, but one thing I will tell you about embellishment clusters, especially when they're larger like this, is you have to have patience and you just have to keep moving things until you like what you see. Now, I like the way the flowers are, so I decide I'm going to turn grow vertical. And that was absolutely the ticket. Ta-da! Yay! Okay, so moving on to the learn section. Now, this one was easier because it was very linear, and I'm much better with linear items. So I'm just adding in my pieces and then making my alphabets work for me here um, with a banner. So what I decided also to do is to lift all of these banner pieces with foam tape, so they're lifted. And of course, any banner needs some hardware as well as some twine or some string. So this is my punch kit from Creative Memories, and Stampin' Up. It's a mix. So I just have this piece of foam with my punchy tool, and I'm making holes for my brads. I've used this actually more frequently than any other tool that I have. Now these brads, I'm just trying to figure out: do I want a bright silver or do I want a that's was a square, and these are rounded, the one I'm bringing out now. They're more of a brass or a kind of a oil finished uh, brad, and I enjoy that a lot more. It looks more antique, more metal, meshing with those two, with the cogs in the corner, and then also with the two die cut cogs that I have. So now I'm just adding some twine. I just tied it to the brad before I put it down to the page. Whenever I use brads on my layouts, I always put tape on the back. It keeps it from scratching anything up, and also it goes into the page protector so much easier. It doesn't grab onto the page. So there is that finished. So I'm just pulling them up through the paper so that they sit on top of those elevated pieces with foam tape. And I will set the twine in place a little later. Yay! So moving on to the next one, last one, here we go. Now, this is the dream section. So, butterflies for me represent dreaming, and I have all different types of these butterflies. That's an acetate, so you can see through it, and that one there's a vellum. So, I put those into the two sections that are blending. Now, these profile butterflies I thought would be cute sitting on elements within the section. So, that's why I have that one at the top sitting on the moon. And then I'm thinking that I want this bigger one right here actually on one of the letters. And so I'm thinking about, how am I going to be spacing the letters and where I'm going to put them and where that butterfly would fit. So I'm thinking since I had to use a flower for an E, that would be the perfect spot for that butterfly to sit. So I thought if I'm putting one of them on the letter, maybe I should actually have the smaller one at the front of the letter as well instead of the moon. So I started moving the butterflies around and trying to figure out where I'm going to put these letters. So I decided, a curve would be nice. So I trialed a little bit, a few different ways. And what I was noticing as well when I would put the dream down is that it wasn't sticking out very well, like you couldn't see it. So you'll see here in a minute that I actually do ink around the edges with the orange that is in the prominent parts of the stenciling. Finally, figure out that I'm going to bring it down onto my picture and put that bigger butterfly on the M and the smaller butterfly kind of moving around at different places and still trying to get that vellum butterfly in the section where the sections are supposed to be blending. So here is where I've decided, okay, I'm going to ink around the outside of the letters and just give it just a little bit of orange on top of that green so that it sticks out from the background. And I just use the orange there, you see. So now I have glued down all of these letters and I'm just making sure that they're stuck. Yay! Found the butterfly on the M. I'm trying to figure out which side of this butterfly is the top. Now you'll see the glue through this acetate, so the only place you really could put glue is behind that black part of the butterfly. So here's where I'm auditioning a spot for this butterfly. And I end up just putting him on the moon. I just really think he's cute there, and so that's where he lands. Spoiler alert, that's not where he stays. Again, trying to balance all of the color and the positioning of the butterflies and the way that they blend in between the sections, trying to keep that in mind as well. It's frustrating. So I end up moving the butterfly, this profiled butterfly, to the D, and actually using this vellum butterfly. I exchange it here in a little bit with the orange one to actually have it on my picture and kind of sitting there on the flower. That's where I end up leaving him. So I put the other profile butterfly that's on the M up on foam tape. So I decided to also give the other one dimension and put it on foam tape as well. Now I do use a vellum adhesive on my vellum, because if you use any adhesive on vellum, you can see the adhesive through the vellum. And when you use vellum adhesive, you want to push it down into your layout really hard so that the adhesive vanishes. So here I'm using my Barely Art Precision Craft Glue to glue down the ends of my twine, making sure that they are positioned where I want them to stay. And I'm using an acrylic block while it dries just to keep it in place. Okay, whew, I think I finally got this done. This was definitely a labor of love. I'm going to give you some close-ups here as much as I can. This is the learn section. I did add some arrows up here that I found. They were literally just sitting on my table, so I threw them on. And then I added just a couple of little bling. I don't know if you could see that on the glasses there. My glasses tend to be blingy. And then moving on into the dream section here, we've got some celestial going on, some stars and butterflies. I just love how these butterflies are sitting on the letters. I really, really wanted to try to get that pulled off. Put a little gemstone in the middle of the flower. Um, I used these are felt paper stickers. They are so fragile. I mean, I had a hard time. I mean, I ripped the R, I ripped the M, and I didn't have an E. But they had these flowers on there, and I'm like, I'll make do. I was gonna MacGyver one, but yeah, I thought the flower was cuter. So yeah, so these butterflies are turned out so nice. I love how this acetate butterfly just kind of blends into the third section, which is the create. I definitely wanted other things in here besides cameras. But I love this rub-on. Oh my gosh, these rub-ons are ancient, and I thought for sure they would not go on, but they did. They went on very nicely. So I've got camera. I don't know if you can see it or not. I know you can back here, but I stenciled love in the background. It's very subtle. I put a lot of stuff over it, but I love to create. It's my passion. And so I loved how that's there. No pun intended, literally. But I put some bling on the C and the T and on the little shine of the camera here. And this says delight. It's just the definition of delight. And then I put these arrows kind of moving into the grow. I was struggling where to put this to make it not look so much like this, just a line. So I thought, well, flowers grow vertically, and these are kind of going vertically. So I love how that turned out um, on top of the flowers and the stenciling back behind. Absolutely love this. And every section, some way, somehow, is touching my picture. And I just really like it. And I just think that the black and white of the picture allows the picture to stand on its own. Even though there's so much going on around it, I still feel like that picture is the focus of the layout. So thank you for joining me. I hope you're proud of me for using some of my alpha stickers and my chipboard. I really did have a good time using them. So for now, they're going to stay on my desk. And thanks for joining me this week. And please, if you liked this video, you know what to do. It's right here. Just boop that thumbs up and then go ahead while you're at it and hit subscribe. That way you'll see all the rest of my content and be up to date with what's going on with Chronicles of the Craft Room. Thank you for joining me on Scrapping the Stash with Gail. Bye-bye.